That's why the games aren't played on paper. Greetings. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Chris. You are locked in with me for 15 to 20 minutes. We'll be discussing what's going on in today's sporting world. Basketball, football. If you are a sports fan and you want to hear an interesting perspective about the upcoming games and certain and specific scenarios that happen within the sports, to subscribe to the channel. Now, with today's playoffs right around the corner, we know that as sporting fans and as people who have once played sports, that the most important reason why they play and we played was for the playoffs, the championship. To the victor goes the spoils. The AFC runs through Nashville. Now, those of us who are true football fans, we know that ultimately the AFC goes through Arrowhead. With that being said, I'm going to leave that there and allow you to speak about that in the comments. But the one thing that we're going to discuss today are the matchups. So we already know about Tennessee. We know that A-Rod and D Adams, they are in Lambeau chilling. Derrick Henry getting that foot right, and he chilling. But there are 6 sets of games that will be played this weekend that will decide ultimately who will move on to the next round. That is the most beautiful thing about the sport of football, because one game decides it all. If you show up and you don't have your best game and you lose, then you're going home. It's simple as that. So in the AFC, the first matchup we're going to discuss are the Oakland Raiders going against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this is one of those interesting matchups because, as me being a diehard Chiefs fan, the Oakland Raiders are our rivals and they've been in our division. We blow them out, of course. They can't ever find a way to deal with us. But overall, they're a tough, gritty team. Now, for my people out in California and Vegas who are watching this and thinking about making a bet, the wise bet would be with Cincinnati, being that they're at home. Jamar Chase and those different guys, they're going to put some work in. But the more I begin to think about how challenging of a matchup this could be, because we know that the Bengals don't have the best offensive line because Barrow has been sacked the most this season. Even though I'm putting that all into perspective, I'm still going to take the Bengals by a touchdown, maybe even 10. I just don't see the Raiders being able to deal with them with their offense all game long. I just don't see it. Derek Carr will have his plays, but I don't see them beating the Bengals. Tell me, what do you think? Do you think that the Bengals or Oakland Raiders will win? Hit the comments and tell me your perspective. Now, the second matchup is another one that is very intriguing. You have Buffalo versus New England. Now, it takes no rocket scientists. Even the most casual football watcher knows what the New England Patriots represent. Now, of course, Tom Brady is no longer theirs quarterback. But they do have Bill Belichick, the greatest defensive mind, in my opinion, to ever coach in the NFL. Josh Allen is a great young quarterback. Bill Belichick will have something cooked for him that's going to confuse him that's going to create some mistakes. And I see the Patriots winning a ugly, close ball game. Maybe something of the score of like 17-14, something like that, with maybe a field goal being the deciding factor, with Bill Belichick ultimately sending Buffalo home. And why do I have this perspective? Well, they're division opponents, of course, so they know each other. So I don't see it really being high scoring. I see it more of a back and forth tug of war type game. I just see them confusing Josh Allen up with different coverages and packages. You know how Bill Belichick do it. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing them winning, like I said, 14-17. Now, the last AFC matchup of the weekend will be my Kansas City Chiefs going up against Big Ben. And you know that we're going to retire him early. Big Ben, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Some say top 10. I'd say top 15, top 20 greatest of all time. I'm going to make a list about that, and we're going to go through it and see maybe top 20 quarterbacks of all time. But we all know what's going to happen. I think a very competitive game. I don't see it being a blowout like it was in the regular season. But I do see them going down, by 7 to 10 points. We're not going to play with them. We're going to get them up out of there and move on to the next round. Now, the NFC, interesting matchups there. Being that I'm here in the home state of Texas, right here in Dallas, where the Cowboys play. The Cowboys Stadium is actually right down the street from me. It's going to be rocking this weekend. And I really don't want the Cowboys fans to be disappointed. This is one of those toss-up games, but it's one of those games that I'm looking forward to watching as a fan of football since I've been a kid. Because, if you're a kid like me, I'm 36 years old. So I started watching around Joe Montana time and all that. So you remember the Cowboys and the 49ers. Steve Young versus Aikman. Those are always the NFC matchups. And it's going back to that with the Montana and Dwight Clark and all those different things. It's going back to that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that old time game. Now the question is, who's going to win? Now it depends on what perspective you're looking from. The 49ers have an awesome defensive line. The Cowboys have an awesome offensive line. We know that the game is going to be won and lost in the trenches. Will they be able to keep Bosa, Armstead, and those different guys from getting after Dak and clogging up the running lanes so that Zeke and Pollard will be able to, make substantial carries, to cut in to the downs. So it's very important for us to see what's going on there. Now, if Dak Prescott can have the time in the pocket to be able to get the CD and Cooper and the tight ends, then I could see them winning this game. But the one thing that I'm looking forward to see, and this is the key matchup for me, will be Deebo Samuels versus Diggs. Now, is Diggs going to start to play more physical, more seriously, and not do as he did against AJ Green? It's a very important thing that we have to think about right now, because this is the playoffs. One loss, you're going home. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Now, if you're asking me who I would take in this game, and I have to really sit back and ponder on it, I can see the Cowboys winning by 3. Jimmy G gonna do something in the game that's Diggs gonna pick off Jimmy G once or twice. I just see it happening because Jimmy G, he got that Brett Favre in him. He can throw the ball to the other team here or there, and mess up. So, and Diggs gonna catch it. So we're gonna see what's going on with that. So Cowboys by 3. Philly and Tampa Bay, I'm not even finna talk about that. We know what Tom Brady represents. The GOAT. 7 rings. The man. I don't even want to even discuss, that we know what's going to happen with Tampa Bay when they show up at private code and the Eagles come in there. The Eagles going to get drugged. Me discussing how the Jaguars were able to take on the Colts and beat them, Carson Wentz and Tom Brady is 2 different people. But anything can happen. Any given Sunday. I will admit that. Any given Sunday it can happen. But this is the GOAT. And one thing I'm going to say is don't bet against Tom Brady. I'm taking the Bucs by 21, 28 points. The Bucs winning this game. Now, last but not least, most interesting game, I believe, on the schedule. Just like the NFL won the weekend with the Oakland Raiders and the Chargers game and the Broncos and Chiefs game is pretty good. And, the Cowboys and Philadelphia game, nobody even want to watch that. But because of how the Cowboys was doing them. But overall, they won the weekend. That was a highly entertaining game in Las Vegas. I must say I enjoyed watching every second of it. And now they're kicking off the Monday of next week with one of the most intriguing matchups. Just like New England and Buffalo. The Los Angeles Rams and the Arizona Cardinals are divisional opponents. A divisional game can go either way. See, because the divisional game, these 2 teams know each other in and out. Whatever you're trying to do, I know it. Whatever you're trying to do, I know it. So this game is intriguing. It's going to come down, in my opinion, to what Matthew Stafford is going to show up and what Kyler Murray is going to show up. Now, we see Kyler Murray. He's dynamic. Heisman Trophy winner. Had a chance to go play baseball. Has an electric arm. He's very fast. Dynamic. But there are times where he makes questionable throws where you're like, wait, what you see, Kyler? What's going on? And with Jalen Ramsey, with Aaron Donald, and Von Miller, we know that the Cardinals don't have the best line. So if they can make his life miserable, then there ain't no way D-Hop and AJ and Ertz gonna get the ball. So I'll be thinking about taking the Rams, but then I get to thinking about Matthew Stafford. And we ain't gonna lie, Matthew got a cannon, sidearm that thing like Pat Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, and 50, 60 yards down the field. He got the receivers, Cooper Kupp's monster. Odell gonna do Odell things. Like, he has the tools there. Then you got Sean McVay cooking up and down at them plays. So I'm leaning towards the Rams just because of the key pieces they have on defense. I'm leaning towards them. So I say 27-24 ball game. Rams win. Field goal in the game. Kyler and Cliff Kingsbury go back home. So those are my perspectives on the upcoming games this weekend. I am looking forward to watching them. I'm looking forward to covering more topics. If you have any ideas for topics, please drop them in the comments and let me know. Appreciate you again for tuning in.